Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for this opportunity to come and share with you all today. As you heard, my name is Betherny Williams, and I am here representing some of the hardworking employees of the street, or all of the hardworking employees of the streets department. If you know some of them, tell them they're included in the all that I spoke of, because they all do work really, really hard for us in some of our times of shortages. So I want to make sure that I can leave some time for question and answers if you have any, but I want to speak high level to what the streets department, what do we do on a daily basis? A lot of people say the streets department, you hear the streets department's name thrown around pretty much in every conversation. If it's anything that deals with pavement, concrete, anything related, that if they can't find a department to fit it in, the streets department takes care of it. So I want to kind of talk about some of the areas that we cover. So first and foremost, you have the director's office, which handles all of your permits. So when you have like block parties, things of that nature, closures, you're moving and you want to block the street in front of your home, those permits come from the streets department. As well as any excavation work that you may see. So our utility companies that are working, they work through permit through the streets department to do the work that they're doing. In 510, which is the director's office, this department is mainly, it covers and funnels through all of the other divisions of the department. So that's where our inspectors sit, that's where our accountants sit, our payroll clerks, for the entire department that covers those functions, all work out of 510. You also have street maintenance. That's the biggie of them all. So they are responsible for pothole patching. They're responsible for paving when funds become available. They are responsible for our winter operations. They are responsible for just maintaining the roadway. We also have programs like the 50/50 sidewalk program, where we allow residents, they call and report to us, hey, we have tree root damage, or my sidewalk is caving in, or whatever the situation may be. We have a program where they can pay half, the city pays half, and then we go out and fix those sidewalks, those slabs in front of your home that are destroyed of your sidewalk. We also have the sewer lateral program. When you have backup in your basement, the streets department, I said, we do it all. What does that have to do with streets? You tell me and I'll tell you back. But so the sewer lateral program, when you have backup in your basement, we administer the program that will go out and investigate as well as bid out the contract work to get that done. Now that does come with a fee that you pay with your water bill to be a part of that program. But the 50/50 sidewalk, that is a program we will come out, evaluate, and send you a letter of what the cost will be. And I'll speak more to some of the actions we've taken with the 50/50 sidewalk program within the last year. We also have streets, traffic, and lighting. So that's all of your pavement markings, your stop signs, all of your roadway signs, all of your lighting, your pedestrian lighting, as well as your signals lighting covers under the streets department as well. We also do city toll. Hope you all never have to go there, but we covered city toll as well as your trash service for the city of St. Louis. If you live in a resident where we collect your trash, recycle, and yard waste, that is all covered under the streets department as well. And I'll spend some time talking about what we're doing in that division as well. I think I'm going on 3 years now with the department. Every day is something new for me. And so where I thought I would come into this position and hit the ground running with engineering, how can we improve our payments? You know, my drive home, oh, excuse me, at the time I worked in for MoDOT, and my drive home, I'm like, how come when I get off the interstate, my roads turn into this condition? And so when I was given the opportunity to come on board, that was my mindset. That is what Mayor Jones hired me for, was because to look at how can we improve all modes of transportation for all users across the city of St. Louis. Because I want to pause and say, transportation of all motorists is important to Mayor Jones and myself and this administration. And so anything that we can do to move that forward, we're doing everything possible that we can. So I initially had to take a step back and look at the people. We had employees that had not received raises in a very long time. And over the last 2 years, they have seen historical raises, paying employees their value of what they're worth. You know, we work them, they deserve to get paid. So working with the unions to make sure that our employees are paid properly is what I spent almost my first year doing in the department. Now that we have got raises, and now, you know, they stand up a little taller when they walk. Now it's to get into the boots on the ground work. How can I improve the actual functions that we are doing on a daily basis? And so that's when we start looking at ARPA dollars that Scott will talk about some. How could my request became, what can we use some of these dollars to make some improvements that residents will see? We had a laundry list of 50/50 sidewalk requests that dated all the way back to 2017 that had not even been touched. And even in that investigation, we found, I had a group of inspectors that went out to each individual location and to see if it had been done, if it hadn't been done, if it was marked in the system complete and really hadn't been complete. So I was able to ask for ARPA dollars so that we can divide it across all of the wards and spend money in each of the wards just to get that list down. So what you're seeing now, if you see any 50/50 sidewalk work, we are pretty much paying full to get these sidewalk requests done. If we see tree root damage that is really messing up a lot of sidewalks across the city, we are working with forestry, having those trees cut down and removed, and then we're replacing that sidewalk for residents. I have a soft spot for the elderly. So we're really, really, really working hard with our elderly residents to make sure that they can get their sidewalks repaired in their neighborhoods. We're looking more at a holistic approach. How can I, instead of just this 1 or 2 addresses, what if I paid a contractor to come in and do 6 or 7 or 10 addresses in one ward or one area? We cut down on mobbing costs. Every time a contractor would come in to do 1 slab or 2 slabs in front of your resident, I was paying mobilization fee for them to mob in and out of that ward. And so we looked at it. If I give you a contract of 50, what would that look like in cost for us? And so we were able to see cost savings so that we can do more with the funds that we receive from ARPA for that. So that's one of the things. Currently in refuse, what we're doing, getting ready to sign a contract for them to do roll cart. I call it asset management, looking at the assets that we have. I find so many times that I would ask, how many roll carts do we have out? No one knows the answer. I find myself riding up and down alleys just to see what do we have. And then if you look at the census of the city, you look at how people are moving out of the city, do we really need all of those dumpsters? My drivers are they're in tune and practice, roll down the alley. If it's a cart, pick it up. They're not looking at, oh, it's no one at this resident, or, oh, this person is not paying us for trash service. So we're looking at how do we know our assets of what we have and identifies are these the right size dumpsters that we have in the city? How can we put more roll carts out instead of bigger dumpsters? How can we look at the illegal dumping in the city? If I provide this open dumpster, a block that has 15 dumpsters down it and only 3 houses have people in them, they're going to keep coming back because you know why? They know we're going to pick it up every week. So these are the types of things of trying to figure out how do we get around some of those actions that we're seeing. And so we are getting a contract, actually meeting with them next week so that they can get started. One, to just tell me the assets that we have, the dumpsters that we have out, and then how do we replace, make sure what we have, and then is it the best dumpster for the service that we have. When I first started, probably was my worst summer, and I know more now about trash and recycling that I've ever wanted to know in my life. If you want a day in my life, just call me. I'll take you out. We can spend the day together. But no, so just looking at the number of employees we had, my first summer here, we had literally, currently the city has 45 routes per day that we service, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. When I first started, if I had 20 drivers to show up to work on a daily basis. So what does that mean? If I have 45 routes at the start of the morning and all I have is 20 drivers, we're in trouble. You're going to see trash piling up because we don't have the employees to pick it up. So we've put raises in place where you can get sign-in bonuses after you stay, after your working test period, that you could come in. We will train you. We've started a program with that Slate, that they have a CDL program. We've created that pipeline where if you go through that program, we will hire you. We will give you the experience. I allowed those individuals to come and ride along with some of these drivers. I'll allow them to spend time in the day in the life of a trash truck driver or a construction worker or whatever the situation may be, so that they can learn and see, hey, I really want to do this. Because we're trying to make people that want this to be their career, not just this is my job for today until somebody make me mad and then I'm moving on to the next spot. So we have to make sure we create those pipelines. And so that's something that we're doing as well. We have signage up everywhere. We've hired a PIO person. Well, he's quit now, but we get a new PIO person. If anybody's interested in that, that's our public information officer. So they do all of our Facebook information that you see. They do our Instagram, our Twitter account. I think we have one for the streets department. Tell the positive story of what we're doing in the city and in the streets department. And so if you like doing those things, hey, apply online. We have a position available for you. You get to go out in the field. I don't bother you that much, just as long as you get the information done. So if you're interested in that, know that that position is open at this time currently. Potholes. I want to talk about pavement. Oh, is that what y'all was waiting on, huh? Want to talk about pavement. I always thought that the streets department, we just not doing what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be paving these streets. We're supposed to be filling these potholes. Why do these potholes keep popping up? What is the problem? I heard someone talk about in a different light, Swiss cheese. We've pothole patched some of these roads so much that it's time for them to be paved. You can only patch something so many times before it's time for an overhaul. Everything has its life expectancy. And that's what we're seeing now. Our pavements have met their life expectancy. And so what we're trying to do is work with alders to figure out how do we get funding to pave these streets. Working with alders to figure out the funding to pave the streets. The streets department, we currently do not have a line item in our budget that speaks to paving of streets. So when I realized that, I looked at ARPA dollars again and said, hey, what if I look at 5 major arterials? What if I just say, what will it take for us to rebuild 5 major arterials at a time? Putting us on a cycle that we can say, okay, every year we should plan as a city to pave and do ADA upgrades, sidewalk improvements, curb improvements, signal lighting, signage, striping, all of this at one time. And so that's what we're seeing now with our 5 major arterials. And so Scott will talk more about the ARPA dollars and how we're spending that, but that's a part of it. 5 major arterials at a time. If I was just to say, Mayor Jones, give me funding to pave this whole city. In 10 years, 7, we'll be back in this same space. 15 max, we'll be back in this same space where our roads are where we are in this condition. So we have to prioritize our pavements, doing pavement analysis, knowing the condition of our roads. It's important that you know the conditions of your roads and your bridges. And so we're investing in finding that information so that we can move forward to better together and get paving done for our city. If you have potholes that are continuously popping up, you know, I ask that you put them in CSB. If they're not there, you know, some people, they're like, I put this pothole in CSB 3 months ago. Citizen Service Bureau. And so you can go online and put that pothole in. It doesn't ask for much information, but you have to know the exact location. Every day we have crews that go out. Right now we're in paving season. I was able, and I praise God that some of these alders said, okay, I'll release some funds to do some paving in the wards. So at least one street, it sounds terrible, but at least one street in every ward, you are seeing some type of paving. But what I need everyone to do, make it a priority to your alderman to pave streets, and then I will support them on the back end with the theoretical knowledge of why this street needs to be paved. You make it a priority to your alder to pave these streets, and then I could support that on the back end with the theoretical knowledge of why we should be doing the different paving. We don't have a budget for that. They give me a budget for salt. I have salt domes with salt falling out the back because we haven't had a bad winter. Knock on wood. But that's what we budget for as a city. That and pothole patch material. But we can only pothole patch so much before it's time for paving to happen. So if you leave with nothing else that I've said today, I really want you to really hone in on one thing: making paving a priority to your alderman or alderwoman. When I go out and do these meetings, that's what I want to focus on, because the city has to restructure our budget function, how we budget as a city, if these are the expectations of the citizens. Everybody's commute to work should be a pleasant one. And we want to make sure that we can provide that. But if we don't have the budget for it, it's nothing that we can do to fix that. And our budgets are online. If you don't believe me, you can go out and look the streets department street maintenance budget and look to see what's in there.
Message.
Yes. So know that as well as if you have concerns about potholes, please put them in CSB so that we can get to them as fast as possible. Another thing, people email me all the time about claims. I bust my tire, my whole front end fell off. What can you do for me? Here's my receipt. I want my money in 2 days. I wish I had a cash drawer at the bottom of my desk. But you go through the CSB process with that too, and it goes to our legal department. They will investigate and they will determine if the outcome is to be paid or not to be paid. That's not a decision that myself or the streets department will make. Okay.
Well, thank you, because those are the questions I had. Thank you. Clap it up for her, please.
for that. So I know we got some questions. The young lady over there, her hand shot up first. So we'll go there.
So per the ordinance, it determines how many units in a building if we will even provide the service. So what we're finding is we have a lot of units. We have a lot of buildings that we service that are out of the range of how many apartments should be in the building. But to your question, who determines? It depends on how many people dwell in that building and how many people are paying for that service. And what we're finding is when we came out of the pandemic, when we went into the pandemic, if you called and said, hey, I need a new trash can, I need a new dumpster, I mean, everyone was home. Everyone was cooking. I know I tried every recipe I saw. Yes. So you had a increase in our trash. And so where we would come out and we would just put more cans in the alley, instead of replacing or pulling up the old can and replacing the new can. A couple months ago, last summer, I want to say, we had a backlog of almost 3,000 can replacements across the city. One piece of equipment that I had that was doing this job across the city was broken down. We were able to use emergency contracts to hire someone to come in and help us put these cans out in the alleys. But all they did was replaced what you said. If you said this one, the bottom was rusted out, they will pick that one up and put another one down. But we know that we have too many cans in our alleys for the number of people, one, that are paying for the service and are living in some of these residents. So I will say alleys, it depends on the number of crews we have. That's one thing. So I didn't talk about that piece, and I think that was one of the questions, to talk about how many people. Currently, we have roughly 335 employees across the whole streets department, where you have a TO of almost 500. So that's our org chart, what we're allocated to hire people every year on an annual basis. So I'm roughly 100 plus, almost 150 employees short to do this work. So currently we have one asphalt crew that's doing all of the asphalt work across the city of St. Louis. We were able to purchase an additional paver. So in case, we have a total of 3. You always want one in the hopper in case something happens and you have all these trucks of asphalt that's out on your job site. You have something there to back up if the hopper breaks down or something like that. So it does take time. I just requested a new list. They give me a list every week of the streets that they're currently paving and where they plan to go next. So alleys are a priority, but I really want to get the residentials and the arterials paved as much as I can before we jump into alley paving, because that's a lot of detail work with, garages and things of that nature. So, but if they say it's on the list, we could look. You could email me and I can look at the list to see if it's on the list and let you know what's been paid for and funded. Yes, I think we had a question here.
We're
Then I'll
gonna go
come
over
up
here and then.
Okay.
You mentioned retiming of traffic lights and stuff. I used to work public transit and walk and run into a lot of where like the pedestrian sign doesn't even come up. I know that's probably a request through CSB, but like what is the process on your end? What does that look
A lot of those pedestrian crossing signs we don't have in stock. What I push now when I talk to planning and BPS as they're planning, make sure you think about the maintenance side of all of this beautification that we're doing as a city and all of this that we want. Make sure we're budgeting to maintain what we're putting out there. So I know that I had some push buttons that had been down for like almost a year that we were able to order that equipment and get it reinstalled. So in some cases we do, if it's like some of our trails, some of our partners, they pay for some of those items to be reinstalled and they maintain it, but then some of them we do. So if you want to email me the location and then I can see where is it on the list, and we can go from there. Oh, the hand, and then it might just be the bulbs out. So if you email me, then I can have someone go and look at it for sure. Mm-hmm. So we have the budget. So I have budget for people, pothole patch material, salt. Yeah, but paving material, we just can't get people in. Right now, I have a bike ped engineer position on the board. Literally I think they told me 5 people or 8 people applied and 1 person met the minimum requirements. We have engineer positions that are open, that have been open for 2 to 3 years in our traffic division, that will do our signal optimization, that will do our signal timing, will make sure all of those things are up to date. So these are the types of things we're looking at. How do we increase salaries? We're doing it in the city as a whole, is doing a compensation study, looking at, are our salaries compatible? So we're doing what it takes to get the people in the door. We just have to stay focused to get it done. Yes.
So I loved everything that you were saying. Only one thing I had a question about, and that is, if we want to have our sidewalk replaced for the roots and push it up, do we have to take the tree down? Can't we keep our trees? And because that's a major thing. I did want to also point out, and I know you guys can't do this, but I wish we had, as a city, the foresight to bring in contractors to do this, because when we pave alleys, first of all, everybody needs to know those are narrow, so you have different equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, they collapse. There's a reason why they get paved, because they're collapsing. When you pave them, that's not going to fix the collapsing portion of it. And the last thing is, it's unsustainable, because you have bricks that have been there 100 years, but if you supported the underside, put the bricks back, you wouldn't have to then pave twice as many places now that you have to now pave every 10 years or whatever. But the tree and sidewalk.
Gotcha. I do hear you when we talk about trying to save some of the trees across the city, but that's a forestry question. I will let them answer that. I'm just here to talk about the sidewalk, and I don't know if they cut some of the roots back. I'm not for sure the process they take. Yeah, so yes. So I'm not for sure of that process. I just know that in a lot of cases, we're seeing where we're having to do almost all the way up to the stairs to residents' home, because the tree roots have grown so much across the yard, and it just, they take over, or they're buckling the street, or they've buckled the curb line, or so many different things that we have to pay attention to as well.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.